Gates, gates, gates. I did it. I made a gate deck that is awesome, fun to play, incredibly competitive since I'm wrecking people in Mythic on Magic Arena, and super cheap. This entire deck is going to cost you $20. That's right, 20 bucks. And I guarantee this thing can win games. It's totally busted. Click the first link in the description to see the entire list and buy it all for literally $20. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, remember hit that like button, it helps out a lot. As you might expect, a gate deck has to include a lot of gates, so we'll get those out of the way first. 4 Simic Guild Gate, 4 Gruul Guild Gate, 3 Selesnya Guild Gate, 3 Izzet Guild Gate, 2 Azorius Guild Gate, and 2 Boros Guild Gate are all the gates in this deck, 18 gates in total. Yeah, we're going deep. And each of these gates is like 10 cents, easiest mana base ever. They're also joined by 2 Plaza of Harmony for some life gain against aggressive strategies and additional fixing, then 3 Forest and 1 Mountain to smooth out our colors. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the fun stuff. This deck can win games by erasing early strategies then going over the top with nonsense. Dealing with early game strategies is incredibly important, so we're running 4 Gates Ablaze and 2 Deafening Clarion. These 6 board wipes will destroy anything on the battlefield that we don't like. After turn 3, Gates Ablaze just keeps getting bigger, eventually dealing enough damage to destroy Carnage Tyrants, Doom Whisperers, even Galta, not joking, the card's real. And then Deafening Clarion is there to ensure more early game board wipes. This deck has a lot of enter the battlefield tap lands, so we have to compensate for that a bit. 6 board wipes is the right number. To ensure that we get the guild gates and cards that we need, there's an impressive suite of card filtering and search we can use. Open the Gates is busted in this deck, allowing us additional guild gate plays and color fixing at the same time. While you won't be using this turn 1 most of the time, that doesn't matter. Open the Gates exists to make sure that you never miss a land drop or the colors that you need. Don't worry if you end up not playing this card for the first few turns of the game, you don't have to. It's there when you need it, and it's just as good late game as it is early game. Circuitous Route is one of the best cards in this deck, grabbing a pair of guild gates and putting them directly onto the battlefield tapped. Talk about the ultimate mana fixing and ramp spell. The route does both really well, putting you turns ahead of the opponent. Against opponents playing control, they won't want to counter this, but sometimes they'll have to, and that's funny as all heck. Staple in the deck. Make sure that you're running at least 3. I wouldn't go below that. This enables your win conditions that we'll talk about in a moment, and it contributes to even more Gates Ablaze burning savagery. Growth Spiral is one of the more well-known cards out of Ravnica Allegiance thanks to Explorer existing all those years ago. Growth Spiral in the right deck is straight broken, and this is one of those decks. Being able to drop a Guild Gate at instant speed at the end of your opponent's turn, that's outrageously powerful. It replaces itself, ramps you, gets you a turn ahead, pure tempo gain. We're running 3 of them in here, you should too. I can attest to the card's power, it is undeniable. So we have a bunch of ways to get gates, get them on the battlefield, get more gates. Between Open the Gates, Circuitous Route, and Growth Spiral, there are 10 fixing or ramp spells in this deck, the perfect amount for what comes next, Guild Summit. Probably the main reason to play this deck, Guild Summit is a card advantage machine, helping you catch up from behind, get you ahead even further, and apply more value to your guild gates. With a single Guild Summit on the battlefield, you'll be surprised just how fast you get through your deck. Against aggressive decks, you obviously want to prioritize your removal ahead of Guild Summit, but once they're out of gas, you can get cards ahead. Against anything that isn't aggressive, no amount of Chemister's Insight will help them keep up with you. Guild Summit with Circuitous Route, outrageous. With Growth Spiral, think about it. Summit on the battlefield, you play Spiral, draw a card, put a Guild Gate onto the battlefield at instant speed, draw another card. One of the most broken interactions in Standard right now that isn't Teferi's interaction with himself. What a dumb card. Anyways, Guild Summit should always be in this deck. I can't talk it up enough. Now for my favorite part, the win conditions. Gatebreaker Ram is an absolute house. Against aggressive strategies, they just can't kill it without a hard removal spell. Burn players literally can't get past it without chaining 2 or 3 burn spells. Gatebreaker Ram is powerful. Dropping it on turn 3 with 2 gates on the battlefield, that's a 3-mana 4/4 with Vigilance and Trample. That's so strong, it's so strong. Drop it on turn 5 after if Circuitous Route has been played. Could be a 3-mana 6/6 or even bigger with Growth Spiral and the route. There's no telling just how large this Ram can get, and being out of Deafening Clarion range almost immediately gives it even more survivability. Ram is an excellent defender and attacker, stable in this deck, and a huge reward for playing this archetype. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Gate Colossus might be one of my new favorite cards in Standard. Getting to play an 8/8 for 0 mana, it feels so good. Getting to play multiple in a turn, so good. It is 8 mana out of the gate, but come on, you're running 18 gates. Getting 4 of them, dropping the Colossus as an 8/8 for 4 mana, not that difficult, and it can't be chump blocked by tokens or anything small. And whenever a gate enters the battlefield under your control, you recur it to the top of your library. Unless your opponent exiles the Colossus, it's probably coming back over and over again until the end of time. Literally Usually playing 8/8s for 0 mana is a thing, or even 2 or 3 or 4 mana. Gate Colossus is the overwhelming win condition in this strategy, and most games will end with this card beating the opponent down. Non-exiling removal doesn't keep it down, damage-based removal won't kill it. Permanently dealing with the Colossus will take an exile enchantment or an exiling spell, and while both exist, I wouldn't say they're in every deck. Enjoy playing 8/8s like they were candy, you will love it. The deck also runs a single Archway Angel, believe it or not, with the removal suite in the deck. Getting to turn 6 against Burn or any other aggro deck for that matter isn't unheard of. It's pretty common. Archway Angel drops, you gain at least 10 life most of the time, and suddenly the game is yours. It's a nice one-off for specific situations, or a good card to just drop on the battlefield to win a game. You only need one, solid card. Want another win condition? How about Banefire? It's no secret that control decks are all over the place right now. They exist and we need to destroy them. Banefire destroys them. Besides forcing a discard, Banefire is going to get through every time, and since this deck is a ramp deck and you'll be dropping lands every single turn, Banefire is going to get to lethal damage against control, just will. If you're against anything that isn't control, it still burns down creatures really well, kills Judith just fine, Runaway Steamkin, Thief of Sanity, you get my point. Versatile burn spell, that can be a win condition, hard to say no to that. It's a great inclusion, #trust. Merfolk Branchwalker is an early drop to help smooth out our draws. Card filtering and drawing aggressively are both important for this deck to work, and the Branchwalker will either draw us a land, most likely a gate, or it'll let us filter something we don't need. Use the Branchwalker aggressively, it'll absorb removal just fine, and it'll explore. You get 2 things you want. I've seen versions not running the Branchwalker, and I do not agree with that. For 2 mana, getting to eat a burn spell and filter or draw the top of your library, that's gross. Disruption is annoying. Cards we can't deal with are annoying. Ixalan's Binding is in the deck because it's one of the best removal spells in Standard right now, full stop. While some strategies are running enchantment removal, many are not. And being able to grab an important piece of an enemy strategy can mean life or death. By running a few of these, we're helping to shore up the matchup against mid-range and control decks. Just a little more removal and control to help deal with troublemakers. The last piece of disruption/removal we're running is Syncopate. This is the exact counterspell we want. It has infinite potential for use in the early, mid, and late game. It exiles Nexus of Fate, Rekindling Phoenix, Arclight Phoenix, anything that Find Finality would get back besides that stupid dinosaur. Stops opposing counterspells, risk factors. I think I've made my point. Syncopate is a dash of control in a deck normally weak in that area. 4-color Gates is a strategy designed to take the opponent by surprise. There aren't a lot of good ways to deal with this kind of deck, and your opponent will never know what to counter, what to let through, what to remove, what not to waste removal on. Gates is a tough deck to play against because the inevitability is there. With every gate that you play, you get one step closer to closing out the game. It's that simple, and your opponent is going to know it. Whether it's a Burn player, Nexus player, Golgari player, doesn't matter. When they see a guild gate, they hit the panic button because they don't know what to do. They don't know what package you're running, and dealing with lands isn't exactly something Standard can do well, so live the dream. Play an 8/8 for 0 mana. Play 2 of them. Get multiple Guild Summit out and draw like a fiend. Use Gates Ablaze and deal 7 damage to all creatures, destroying even the biggest monsters. I didn't think it would be possible, but Gates is a Standard playable deck. It is competitive, and gosh dang it, it can win. Let's talk Sideboard. If you're bringing this deck to FNM, you're going to want to be prepared. Against token decks or anything massing creatures, Fiery Cannonade is an excellent removal spell. Easier to cast than Deafening Clarion, but usually just as strong. Lava Coil can deal with Rekindling Phoenix if you need to. Cleansing Nova might seem too detrimental to you, but against Nexus, it's going to take out all Wilderness Reclamation and Search for Azcanta. Against control decks, I actually like bringing in Gruul's Spellbreaker to counter Settle the Wreckage. Spellbreaker is super annoying when you're attacking it with 8/8s, just saying. Then Carnage Tyrant is another solid attacker against slower strategies. They have limited ways to deal with the Tyrant, and when they run out of those options, 8/8s will kill them. And finally, when you need to slow down, add in more counters. Nothing wrong with a few Negate against control decks or Essence Scatter against green creature-based strategy. When you're looking for cards to remove, if you're against control, you can take out the anti-aggro cards like Gates Ablaze and Deafening Clarion. Against aggro, you're going to need to come down on your clunkier spells, Ixalan's Binding, maybe even a single Guild Summit. Get low, get interactive, just some words of advice. This entire deck is $20 right now. You can buy it this second for a single $20 bill, not even kidding. Click the first link in the description to see the entire list and buy it cheap as heck. I really hope you enjoy this list as much as I have. It is wrecking an arena at Mythic, so I have high hopes for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Any questions, concerns, anything, just ask away. And be sure to let me know what you want to see in the future. Always listening, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.